canon that you learn. There's a passage in the canon which is very underrated, where the Buddha talks about what is it that nourishes the Dharma. He says there's two things: commitment and reflection. You commit to doing it well, and then you reflect on what you've done. And if there's anything that's lacking, then you say, well, we can make it better. In English we call this success by approximation. And so that you further, your idea of what actually is an adequate way of acting, it gets more and more refined. And how does it get refined? It's because you reflect, well, is this really good enough? Is this up to the Buddhist standards? And so you learn from the Buddha, but then you learn from your actions to refine what you've learned. Because you can know an awful lot about the canon, but your knowledge can still be pretty crude. You know the concepts, but you don't really know what they're talking about. But as you take the concepts and you use them to guide your actions, then you learn from your actions, and you become a wiser person as a result.
In that sense, we read too much books.
Well, read enough so you have a good idea of what direction is the right direction. But there comes a point you say, well, I've got to put the books aside and just watch how I act. And then learn from that.
I actually bought all these books and tires when I was young. I thought I would do when I retire. I'll be able to read all this and then put it into practice. But now that I've retired, it doesn't seem like it's a good idea. And also because this body is deteriorating, the eyes are not doing so well. And I can't even read properly. I decided that that's it, I'm going
to practice. You'll find in the practice, though, there are times when you say, okay, I've read enough, I just really have to do this. And you don't have to read a lot of stuff for a while. And then issues will come up in the practice where you say, look, I need some more guidance to understand what I'm doing. So you go back to the books, get some good books. In the forest tradition, I most highly recommend Ajahn Lee and Ajahn Mahabua. And then get some ideas from them, and then you go back to practice again. And just drop the books for a while. So it's going to be back and forth.
But I also notice in my practice that I seem to be now not getting too much into the formal practice and just more relaxed and just going with the flow of whatever is happening, whatever is occurring. Is that right? Is that a good thing?
No. You need some formal practice because that's what digs up things that you wouldn't see otherwise. Remember, the Buddhist image is that you're going to try to cross over the stream. And it's going to require that you build a raft, because there's no Nibbana yacht that's going to come over and pick you up and take you over to the other side. And so what are you going to do? You have to take things on this side of the river to make the raft. In other words, you take your aggregates, you take your body and your feelings and your perceptions, etc. Put them together in the right way to make a good raft. And then his image uses, and then you make an effort with your hands and feet. So you have to go against the flow. And then you get to the other side. If you just say, okay, I'll just go with the flow, you just go downstream.
But eventually, when you go down the stream,
there are whirlpools and sharks and...
I'm just thinking, because you get the push from the river, the flow, but eventually you still arrive at the other side of the river.
Not necessarily.
No?
No. You ever seen the Mississippi River?
I have to put more effort then.
Yeah. I mean, in your daily life, you will find that there are times when you do go with the flow, and other times when you have to resist. Mm-hmm.
We have followers of your teaching on YouTube. We appreciate that you have done that for many years. Recently, my father asked me, can you share with me the teaching of, can you explain to me the teaching of Asachi, the Venerable Asachi, which is very complex. It's talk about all those things that arise from a cause. The Buddha has told the cause, and also what that cessation is. This is the doctrine of the great recluse. How could you explain that to make people at least appreciate the teaching?
Okay, the question is cause of what? And there's a place where the Buddha says all things are rooted in desire. And so the question is, what skillful things are rooted in desire and what unskillful things are rooted in desire? So you're going to look at everything in terms of cause and effect. And where do the causes come from? They come from your own actions. So you're looking for causes in the mind. That begins to get you into the Four Noble Truths. There's some causes that will lead to suffering and other causes that will lead away from suffering. There's the desire in the three forms of craving that leads to suffering. There's the desire in right effort to abandon unskillful qualities to develop skillful qualities. And so you start dividing things up. Now, Sariputta heard that verse and immediately became a stream eater, which means he was really sharp. For the rest of us, we have to parse it out. And so the Buddha says, what you want is a knowledge of things arising and passing away from causes that's penetrative. And there's a sutta where he talks about what does it mean for the knowledge to be penetrative. And you figure out, and it involves seeing what instances of this thing that you're talking about are good and which ones are bad. What are the results? What are their causes? So it's not just watching things coming and going, but you're actually saying, okay, what causes things that are good? What causes things that are bad? And then, again, that gives you the Four Noble Truths. That's the beginning of how I'd explain that. What more does your father want?
I think that's only what he wants. Now, for what I want, I know that there is a path, but in order to be able to do the right efforts, the right efforts is actually how to balance that right effort with everyday life. That's a difficult practice.
Well, you have to figure out, right effort is more complex than you might think, because it involves, there are 4 kinds of effort. And you have to ask which kind of effort is appropriate right now. And then there's the question of how you motivate yourself to do the right effort. And this has a lot to do with how you talk to yourself about what's important in life, what's not important in life. And it's going to require a lot of value judgments. You have to look at the way you live your ordinary life and ask yourself, there are some things in my ordinary daily life that I have to continue doing, they're my duties. So my practice will have to sort of work around those. There are other things, though, that I may have to give up. And that's learning which things belong to which category. And then there's a question of, again, how you talk to yourself, how you motivate yourself. And this is where thinking about the paramis comes in, where we have work, you have family, and instead of thinking of those things as obstacles to your practice, these are opportunities for me to develop other good qualities of mind besides the ones that are developed in meditation, like endurance and equanimity, goodwill. And then there's a question of how much of effort. And here, how much effort depends on your strength. You know the simile of the lute. If the string is too tight, it's going to snap. If it's too loose, it's not going to sound well. And so you have to figure out, okay, what amount of energy do I have? And then from that amount of energy, then you decide, well, how much am I going to meditate today? How much am I going to do today in terms of the practice? If you're coming back tired from a long day, you don't sit down and say, I'm not going to get up until I have achieved Supreme Awakening. It's pushing yourself too hard for that day. You tell yourself, okay, I'm going to make it through the half hour or the hour or whatever I want to meditate. So right effort requirement, there's a lot of subtlety to right effort. The question came up about mixing and matching other meditation techniques. And I found that for the purpose of concentration, you can mix and match techniques. Whatever you find gets the mind to settle down. And you will often find that one technique will not work all the time. Which is why the Buddha taught so many different techniques. There are times when the mind is willing to stay with the breath, and other times to say, that's the last thing in the world I want to focus on. So you give yourself other objects. Other times you say, well, I've approached working with my body energies in one way. It's not working today, what other ways can I do it? And that way you can mix and match. And it's good to have one meditation method as kind of your home base or as your basic method. And then you can adopt other methods as you see fit. I strongly recommend Ajahn Lee's method because it gives you a lot of room to play. And it's in the play that you learn. If you simply do as you're told, do as you're told, do as you're told, it's like putting the mind into a meat grinder. And you may come out with ground meat, but you don't come out without discernment. But if you have a method that encourages you to try this, see what the results are, try that, see what the results are, you're learning about cause and effect, which is what this is all about. Whatever arises from a cause and its cessation. That's how we find out about how things arise from causes. You think of a scientist, you try this set of causes and see what the results are. And you're not sure, well, did this actually influence what happened, or is it something else? So you change what you think that might be a cause. You see if that changes the result. And that's how you learn from your actions. Now there's some things the Buddha says that just don't go there. No killing, no stealing, no illicit sex, no lying, those sorts of things. You don't have to reinvent the Dhamma wheel there. But there are other areas where the Buddha hasn't laid down any specific yes or no. So you have to decide, okay, how can I explore this on my own? Using my own powers of observation. You read Ajahn Lee, and in his guide to meditation, he gives you one way of dealing with the breath. Breath energy is mainly going down the body. You read his Dhamma talks, you find that sometimes he'd recommend that you start with the breath energy in your feet and have it come up. Or the breath energy in your tailbone and have it come up your spine. Or sometimes we're talking about the breath energies in the eyes and the ears. So he was the kind of person who would play with things and see what the results are. So you've learned how to have some confidence that you can play with things. That's how you learn.
I've got two questions. First one is, what is the right balance between what I perceive, or what generally perceive as meditation and action in the practice? I know that while you act, you can try to maintain awareness of that, but you know what I mean. Generally, generally speaking, what is the right balance between the kind of action that is helpful within the path and what is the type of action that is helpful, and how can that be sort of blended or coordinated with your meditation, your traditional meditation towards the path.
Okay, well, the things that'll be helpful will be if you try to keep your mind focused inside the body all the time as you're acting. Now, some people have jobs which require a lot of thinking. In which case, you tell yourself, okay, I'm going to think about this problem, and then when that problem is solved, I'll come back. And if it's one of those problems that's taking a long time, you try to give yourself little breaks every now and then to just make sure the breath energy in the body is good. Think of that image of the post that you tie the different animals to. And the more you can gain a sense of quality of the breath energy in your body and how to maintain that quality, you can go through the day and be grounded as you go through the day. And that's what provides a continuity between one meditation session and the next meditation session. Because otherwise it's like keeping your dog on a long leash. The dog wanders around, wraps around this tree, wraps around the person's leg, wraps around other things. And then when the time comes to sit down, you have to spend all the time unwrapping the leash. You tell yourself, I've got to keep it on a short leash. Don't go too far away from the body. You said you had 2 questions?
Yes. The second one is a bit of a shameful question at this stage of my practice. The question, just to in a nutshell, is at what time does I know that once you get you get into the spring entry and you get a glimpse, you achieve that sort of certainty that should take you in a much more secure and focused way along the path. But that's not going to look. It's not looking very easy for myself. So I was wondering this transition between the working hypothesis and what you actually want sometimes is absolute and happy faith in, sometimes I struggle and I sort of go back and say, why am I going back? It's like really, even after years, and it makes me feel very depressed, and I shouldn't be. And are there ways for strengthening belief that don't require that you necessarily achieve strength, or at least may give you more chance to actually get there?
Okay, we'll hang around people who do have very strong faith. And it's kind of contagious. I mean, hang around noble disciples if you can. But otherwise, just notice again when you start having doubts about all this, you say, well, where does that one come from, and what desire does that doubt feed? What desire feeds that doubt? And learn how to gain some distance from the voices of the mind that would question things. The fact that you're going to have some doubts is just normal. Don't feel embarrassed about it. Because as long as it hasn't been confirmed, there's always going to be part of the mind that these people really know what they're talking about. And you just accept that, okay, that's part of that's where I am. But do I want to stay there? No. And as I pick up, it's okay, But it's good, and this is where reading is good. You can read about the different Ajahns and hear about their experiences. Okay, and for me, being around Ajahn Phuong was 100% what kept me going. Because there was something about him I couldn't understand. There's something going on here that I don't understand. And it's the first time I'd ever met anybody that I actually believed could read minds. At the very least, this is a capability I don't have at all. So he's on to something. And he was very good with how he used his knowledge. I mean, I've seen people who have psychic knowledge who abuse it, but he was never one of those. So there was a very solid moral quality to him as well that I admired. Just realizing that there are people like that in the world, that sort of keeps you going. So now,
yeah, completely things like up. So when you do it up, like you hear this up, and you can't continue from the end, the end of it. So we are not sure how to actually then to see both ideas.
yeah, there's what's called a lapse of mindfulness. Because mindfulness there's a quality of the mind that basically one moment is going to be sending messages to the next moment. And this is how we can understand what's being said. That you okay, the sentence started this way. Remember that. This is how the sentence started, so you can figure out where it's going to go. And there are times when you just get kind of lazy, and that message hasn't been sent, and you're out. And then you pick it up again afterwards. Now, sometimes it's the fault of the person who's giving the Dhamma talk. Maybe sometimes, there's one Ajahn I know who will start a sentence 2 or 3 times before he finally decides which way he's going to start it. Now, with him, I always find it very easy to just whoop and call. Because you think he's going to go in one direction and then there's nothing. And you kind of drop out. So that's one of the possibilities. But other times it's that you don't quite follow what's being said and the mind loses interest. It's not like reading a book where you can go back and listen to you can read the sentence over again. You've dropped it out. And just simply sometimes the mind says, okay, I've had enough following this and I need to rest. And I'll do that to you. Which is why we're lucky we have recordings so you actually can't go back. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Ajahn, I was just wondering about the jhanas, and when you're in jhanas, I know it's the concentrated mind.
Mm-hmm.
I was just wondering whether you can actually feel the pain when you're in jhanas. So I don't know because I feel like when I'm doing meditation, maybe I can sit for like an hour and I'm in deep concentration and I feel like when I wake up the time has passed, and I usually keep an alarm, but I feel like towards the end I feel a little bit of pain, and I was just wondering whether at that time should I, so I'll probably use the word vipassana here, so is that the time when I actually look at it? So I'm not sure the jhanas and how it turns into vipassana maybe.
Okay, there are times when there's pain in the body where you can totally ignore it. And you can just, it's like you have a jhana spread. What that in Australia was Vegemite. And there's a perception you can just spread over the pain so there's not pain. And other times you say, okay, I'm not learning anything, I'm able to sit here and I can be totally comfortable. I know that if I stop my concentration, the pain will come in. But I can sort of ward it off that way. And there are times when you say, okay, instead of doing that, let's try to understand this pain, how I relate to it. And that's when you start asking the questions that Ajahn Mahaprabhu starts recommending. That is the pain the same thing as the body? Where is the sharpest point of the pain? What kind of perceptions do I have of the pain? Does it have a shape? Does it have an intention? Is it coming at me or is it going away from me? Exactly what mental activities am I doing that could aggravate the pain? In this case, you're dealing with the pain through understanding, through questioning, rather than just spreading the Vegemite over the pain. And it depends on basically the energy you have at that particular point. If you have plenty of energy, you can analyze it and understand it. And if you say, I just need to rest, okay, put out your jhana spread. Right.
Should we even think too much about all these jhanas? Or should we just practice?
You're not going to get to jhana by thinking about jhana. The object of jhana is not jhana itself. The object will be the breath, or the body, whatever. It is good, though, to realize, okay, I'm here to just stay steadily with this. We're going to try, and if there's a sense of ease, okay, let's use the sense of ease. Use the sense of pleasure. Look for that. Let's see what you can. Ask yourself, okay, John Lee says there's a potential for pleasure and rapture in the way I breathe. Where is it? Because my breath is no different than his. Where did he find it? It's there. And so you might be thinking, you're not thinking jhana, but you're thinking, okay, I want to sit here with a sense of well-being. Where's the well-being? And it comes from being steadily with the breath and then directing your thoughts to the breath and then analyzing the breath and asking yourself, well, what kind of being would feel really, really good right now? Where are the energy centers in the body that are very sensitive to how the breath feels? It will tell me, now, if this feels really good or it doesn't feel really good.
When I started with Anapana, and I used to go and sit after work for an hour or two, and after a while I didn't feel very good. The thing is, I can say actually that it's took out that teaching, but at that time I don't even know what this all is. I just sit and I feel good and I feel peaceful and calm. Just after a while, I just sit until years
After
later.
a while it gets boring. After a while it gets boring.
The thing is that like Dhamma is saying, we have to keep questioning ourselves and thinking what I should be doing and where I'm going and all this. At that time I don't even do all that. I just sit and watch my breath, that's all. And I was good. It was really good. But then after a few years and then something crop up and I'm so disappointed with what's happening. Not with me, but with the system. But it also affects me because it affected me. And I was so disappointed that I just sort of left it. And that's why I'm saying, I'm trying to see if I can get back to where I was before. But
Okay.
it's very difficult.
Well, put aside all your memories about where it was before and say, I just want to go back to the basics. You know, drop that. And don't be embarrassed, and don't feel that, gosh, this is a real retreat on my part. It's what you got to do. Yeah. Mm-hmm. But this time around, you're going to be more sensitive to some of the questions you have to ask yourself.
What I notice that sometimes I do get answers back. Just and I'm in doubt. I do get answers back. So I know maybe this is my delusion that I'm doing all right.
You probably get better answers the more you practice.
I notice that when I meditate, there is a lot of wind movement in my body. I notice it, and sometimes you can hear it and feel it. My question is, should I follow the wind? I change the breathing to the wind?
No. Stay with the breathing.
Stay with the breathing. I ignore the wind.
Yeah. The wind we're talking about is the feeling that energy flowing through the nerves, energy flowing through the blood vessels. The wind you hear that's down in your intestines, you don't have to follow that.
So it's always there. It's just I notice it during meditation or...
You notice it more during meditation.
So it's not advice because of meditation.
Well, there's sometimes when you release tightness in some parts of the body, it will come out as wind in the intestines. There was an old Chinese farmer. It's very rare in Thailand that you find Chinese farmers. Most everybody goes to China. Chinese people go to Thailand to become business people or tailors or something like that. This guy came to Thailand when he was 11 years old. But he'd been taught a method of meditation, a method of massage, which is very gentle. If you had some tightness in your spine, you would touch here, touch there, touch here, touch there. It's okay, don't let anybody touch you for the next day. And whatever was tightness within, say, your spine or something, would go into your intestines and come out. Okay? So there is a connection, which maybe sometimes when you release tension in the back, it will come out like that. But you don't have to follow it out. You stay with your spine.
I've got a question, slightly, not quite sure how to put it, but for a while now, I feel like I've got this perception in my head that I'm standing, like I'm in the middle of a body of water, and I've got one feet on a boat and another feet on a different boat. Mm-hmm. And in my head they symbolize, like, one's the worldly world life and the other's like the spiritual life or the practice. And I can't decide where to put my feet on. Every time I try and pull one up and put it on the other one, I panic and I just like go back, and it just feels like kind of feel stuck. Like I feel like I can't go up or down or forward or backwards in either direction. It comes up every time. It comes up very strongly when I meet with like challenges and problems. So because I don't know how to orient myself to solve the problem. So for example, like if something comes up at work in terms of like there's a project that I really want to do and I didn't get assigned to it, and there's this massive disappointment in me, and it's like trying to talk to myself. It's like well, if I'm choosing the spiritual life, then it doesn't matter. If I want to commit to the worldly life, then it matters. And so I can't. I don't know if I'm talking. I feel like maybe the way I'm talking to myself around this issue is not right, or was hoping to see if I'd done it. Any advice to think about it. And just one more point, it came up very, it started actually, it was just one day randomly, I was riding my bicycle at night, and this vision, I don't know what it was, but I saw in front of me on the left hand side was this perfect person that would be my partner for life, and it was saying to me, if you come with me, we can be happy together. And then I turned right, and then I looked right. Actually, I saw you, Ajahn. and you said to me, if you follow me, I will teach you how to be happy. And my mind, I didn't even think, but my mind just went, I'm going with Geoff Thanissaro. And I was shocked by how quickly my mind made that decision, because I haven't considered it at that point in my life, like what I wanted to do. And it's then, since then, it's just been, I feel like this is the point in my life where I choose how much commitment I'm going to take on for the rest of life, and what kind of commitments I take on. Yeah, and I feel like I'm stuck.
Okay. Don't trust visions.
Yeah.
And you'll have to ask yourself, okay, what kind of life do I want to look back on? The choices I made. And you say, well, I had the choice to practice, but I didn't take it. That'd be a really hard thing to look back on. And looking back on, well, I wanted that project in the office, but I didn't get it. That's easy to look back on. You say, make yourself, okay, remind yourself, I'm here to put an end to suffering. But to whatever extent my work life is in conjunction with that, okay, I'll stick with my work life. And in terms of the goals I have in my work life, I want to make sure that they don't interfere with my practice. In which case, the project you really wanted to work on, say, well, just because you really wanted to work on it doesn't mean it was going to be a good project for you. You never really know. But when you say, I've got the opportunity to practice, it's not going to come all the time. So as long as I have that opportunity, let me follow it. That's what I advise. Of course, I'm a monk. I was talking to a group of people in Boston one time. And I was talking about how there are times when you really have to test your teacher to see how far you can trust him or her. And afterwards, one of the women in the audience said, "What do you mean? Do I have to try to seduce him?" I said, "Well, no, it doesn't have to be that blatant." And they said, "I mean, didn't you test your boyfriends back when you were younger?" And I admitted that I had tested my girlfriends when I was younger. Because I had seen what some women can be like when they're really angry, and so I wanted to see what my girlfriends were like when they were angry. So I'd say something intentionally to make them angry, just to see their anger. And the room blew up. "How could you do that? Isn't that devious?" And I said, "Come on. Apparently men are not supposed to do that." But then, of course, look what happened.
It's all the choice, that you have choices, whether you proceed with this path or this path. Yes, isn't it? It's your choice.
It's your choice. And the Buddha's not forcing any choice on you, but he's saying, look, this choice is a good one. There's more hope to it. For any person who just says, follow the worldly life, you're going to be happy, you can't trust them. As for someone who says, follow the Dhamma life and you'll be happy, it's more likely that you'll be happy. There's sometimes it's going to involve some difficulties and some disappointments. But by and large, it's the more proven path.
I guess I'm just seeing that it's hard to do both, or to even like balance both, to get some kind of progress in the practice and somehow maintain a kind of an okay worldly life. Yeah, I just feel like I don't have energy to do both, and every time I try and just commit to one, I just like almost panic.
Well, you know, that architect I told you about that worked with me on the design of the jetty.
Yeah.
He's the student, one of Ajahn students that I'm convinced was a stream editor. So it is possible. But he was the kind of person whose mind just kind of would tackle a problem and just stick with it and pursue it. If you have that quality, then you can live with a life that has other issues as well, but you need to make this the thread. Just stick with it. And I'm saying that we have to necessarily following me personally, but the Dharma life. Because right now I wouldn't advise anybody to go move to America. In fact, some of my students were afraid that I was coming to Australia to run away from America. It just happened that way.
John, I have a second question. I've noticed these days that when I meditate, because I actually have a very regular schedule, like this is the time I meditate. And so it's happening more and more often where it's almost at the start of the meditation where I'm most peaceful and it's most quiet. And then it's towards the end, like, because it's almost like the mind knows that time's up. It starts getting like agitated. It's almost like my meditation goes the other way. It's like I'm really peaceful and it's like I'm really enjoying this at the start. And then when I would just automatically know that it's time's up. I don't need to set a time up because my mind is like, okay, ready to rock and roll.
That's when you have to tell yourself, I don't really know how long I'm going to meditate tonight. And when the mind says, is it time yet? No, I don't know. Is it time yet? I don't know. And it's like, you just say, okay, I can squeeze the most out of this right now because I know it's going to end at some point, so let's squeeze as much as I can out of it before I have to put it aside. But you might try that trick with yourself. Give yourself different lengths of time to meditate. So it's not automatic. Okay, 1 hour or 1 hour and a half or whatever that you're going to come out. I've discovered that on an iPhone you can have several different timers lined up. And so you can close your eyes and
Okay.
I'm actually using Ajahn timer. You have the 11-minute session, 17-minute session, 5-minute session, 15-minute session. Whatever time that I have, I choose and put that recording so that I know when you finish speaking and there's no time up.
I met this woman in Texas one time, and she looked like she had been a cheerleader when she'd been in high school. I mean, the last person I would have expected listening to my Dharma talks. And she told me that she had her daughters go to sleep on my Dharma talks. For some reason my voice was calm and soothing. So who knows what...
Very soft, man.
Yeah.
Your voice is very soft. If only I had that kind of voice. Everybody says I'm so loud. But that's me.
Yeah, well, this is me.
I'm wondering whether by doing the cultivation for a long time, you actually can develop that calmness that also adopt the style of the meditation and the composure that come with it, that would become that current pattern that you have. I'm wondering when you were early practitioner, you would have this sort of often style.
I did. I was very soft-spoken. And in the 8th grade, I had a high-pitched little tenor voice. And then in the summer between the 8th grade and the 9th grade, Mom came down like this. And I was in the high school chorus, and the high school chorus had a real trouble finding tenors. So I was being groomed as the tenor for the chorus. And I came in to say Miss Roderick at the beginning of the 9th grade, I'm sorry, I'm a bass now. I was teaching in Saskatchewan one time, and after the first session of the retreat, someone came up to me and said, I played one of your tapes for one of my friends. He said, this voice must be electronically altered because nobody sounds like that. But you do. The drawback is that sometimes when I try to leave a message on a phone machine, they'll say, are you there? And it's just the wrong frequency. That's when I need a voice like yours.
It's so even when you were a baby.
As a little kid, of course, I yelled and everything, but just...
I thought my condition, that's why I'm always so loud. But I can't seem to lower my voice or lower my tone down.
So it comes naturally.
Actually, I heard the first time I heard your talk, we were mentioning about breath, in and out breath. And I usually just hold my breath in and also and out breath. And you mentioned you can actually without through your pores. I was really surprised because I'm always stuck on this idea of intensity. I did try that, and it's actually very, very pleasant.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I appreciated about Ven.Ajahn. I've been taught that you have to be one pointed on your nose and not think of anything else, and be aware of anything else. I was getting headaches. I was also told you're not supposed to manipulate the breath. Just whatever the breath is going to do, just allow it to do what it's going to do, but you can't manipulate it. And it was miserable. I didn't find it calming at all. I found it very restricted. And then you read Ajahn Lee, and he allows you to be aware of the whole body, and he allows you to think of the breath energies in the body. And one, I found the concept interesting. And two, I found it just kind of liberating that you're allowed to work with things rather than just watch. That's why I adopted that method and stuck with it.
I've never had teachers say that, just without your voice. It's just really a good experiment.
Yeah. Any other questions? Yes.
So if I meditate, and probably you focus on your breath, then after that you don't feel the body. But you are saying that you have to you are breathing through the pores of the body, but you don't feel the body.
Well,
So how
you want to start out with a full body awareness. Now there will come a point where that will begin to dissolve, and then there's no sense of the body at all. But before you get to the sense of no body, you have to have a sense of full body first. Just give yourself a good solid foundation. Because you look at the Buddha's descriptions of right concentration, and he says you allow this pleasure and the rapture to spread throughout the body to the point there was nothing in the body that is not saturated with pleasure and rapture. Because that's how you get a sense of the well-being that comes from concentration. That's going to be your nourishment. And then as the body feels nourished that way, then it goes more calm. And then the breath itself gets more calm to the point where you don't feel yourself breathing at all. You're aware of the body, but there's no sense of breath. Then you can go to space. Otherwise, if you just focus on one point and just lose sense of the body, it's not very solidly based.
Also, you are saying that, okay, we feel the breath, right? And now, of course, you become calm, and you feel like the whole energy in your body, right? It's okay like that, right? After that, you don't feel the body at all.
After that, the breath energy in the body gets more and more still. The breath energy in the body gets more still. And then as it gets still, your sense of the boundary of the body begins to disappear. And then you can think of it's like your body is it's like a cloud of mist, little dots of sensation. And then you go to the space between the sensations, it feels like space. And your sense of the body kind of dissolves. That's the solid way to get to a state where you're not feeling your body.
Yeah, but then after that you don't feel the sense of the body, but you need to focus on something, right?
Focus on the perception of space.
Focus on how?
Just keep in mind that you feel space in where your body was, and that space has no boundary. And so you're holding on just that perception of space, empty, empty, empty.
So I thought that you should still focus on your breath. You try to make the breath come out again like that.
No, you don't have to.
But if you like the space, I thought that you need to go to Vipassana and then try to.
Try to get really good at concentration first before you go to Vipassana.
Okay, so focus on the space. Space. Is it space?
Space. And then once you can do that, come back and I'll tell you what to do next. I mean, there are more steps. But first, learn how to be aware of the whole body. Because when the Buddha's talking about breath, he's not talking about the sensation of air coming in and out. He's talking about the energy flow in the body. The sensation of air coming in and out, that would be a tactile sensation. But he classifies the in and out breath as part of the wind element in the body itself. And that's energy. So that's what you want to focus on.
Yeah, the energy
Mm-hmm.
is like full energy, right?
Right.
And after that, gone. The whole body is gone.
Okay, well, just try to keep in mind, okay, the energy in the body, filling the body, that's filling the whole body. And learn how to maintain that sensation. Don't drop it too quickly. Because you want to get a sense of pleasure out of that first. And then it gets more and more still, more and more refined. Because this kind of concentration, which is not one-pointed, it's whole body concentration, is much more solid than one-pointed concentration. It's not as intense, but it's the kind of concentration you can carry around with you as you go through the day. Just being aware of your whole body as you move and engage with whatever activities you have in the course of the day. Okay, try that.
Focus on the space, right?
Focus on this first. the sense of energy filling the body. And
That's easy. Sense of, you can feel the whole energy.
yeah, you can feel it. And can you stay with it? Can you stay with it?
Of course, but the there's no benefit on staying on that.
Well, the benefit is that you get really good at keeping one thing in mind. You get really good at keeping one thing in mind.
Can you feel the energy, the whole energy?
Mm-hmm. And then try to learn how to maintain that. Don't go to space too fast.
Feel the whole energy, and then that's good.
And then it will grow more and more calm on its own as you watch it carefully.
Even with no body, right? Because your breathing is so light, their body is like disappear. What's the point of still trying to keep the because if you just sort of concentrate on the very shallow breathing, then a lot of the time, even the shallow breathing is gone. It's only your heartbeat.
Yeah, when the shallow breathing is gone, that's when you say, let the body dissolve, and then I go to space. But you have to wait until the breathing stops before you can do that solidly. Don't focus on the heartbeat, because you start manipulating your heartbeat, you can get into trouble.
I don't feel the heartbeat also.
Usually it's just like the breathing became like gone and stuff. But it's only the heartbeat that is there. So actually I enjoy it.
Yeah. Okay, but don't focus on the heartbeat, just think whole body, whole body, whole body. Still, 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 still. Because that's the state of concentration which is the most solid. And then it's more pleasant to go to space, or just aware, aware, aware.
So it's like making the foundation become stronger.
Right, trying to make the foundation stronger first.
Is that the So you shouldn't just enjoy it.
You can enjoy it, but at the same time you say, I want this to be full body awareness. Enjoy that. Because when everything is still in the body, and it feels very solid and very, very peaceful, that's when you can begin to notice more subtle things going on in your mind. It's like a microphone that has no static. You can hear the voice much more clearly. Or when you're tuning in a radio station, as long as there's static in the signal, okay, you can't really hear clearly the subtle things that are going on. But if everything's very, very still in the body, then subtle things in the mind become more apparent. Which is why you want to maintain that, so you can say, now I want to watch my mind. Because I want to see when a thought comes up, what are the stages by which that thought begins to form into a real thought? And at what point do I go into it and run off with it? How can I make sure I don't go into the thought? Because you'll see that the formation of the thought basically starts as kind of a little stirring of energy. And it's hard to say, is that mental energy, is it physical energy? It's a little stirring here, a little stirring there. And can I zap it first, stop it from forming? And the quicker you get at sensing when these things are coming, the more interesting things you'll see about this is how the mind creates a state of becoming, where I take on an identity in a thought world. So you're creating the foundation in which you can then do that kind of work. Because when you die, that's how you go. A thought world appears, so let's go there. And you don't check the fine print, and you don't, The image I like is you're standing on the side of a road, and it's not very comfortable where you are. It's hot and miserable. And someone drives up in a car and says, come with me. Now, if you lived your life like that, You'd be dead by now. You just jump right in and go. You know? But if you can be more in a position to say, I don't know if I would really want to go in that car. And the best way to do that is to give yourself a comfortable place to stand. 1. And 2, be really wise about the tricks that drivers play as they invite you into the car. And what is it in your mind that lures you into going into a thought world? That's what you want to see. And you see it best when everything is very still in the body. You're fully aware of the whole body and it's very still. And these little things will start becoming more apparent. Which is how you see how you build little bowers like a bowerbird. So we come full circle. Yes.
Ajahn, in terms of Anapana and the breath, the whole body breath, control, that's the new one for me. So I've done a lot, the 1 point. Aware of breath, but also sensation, not just sensation. But it means for me, now anyway, experiencing a lot of gross mental sensations as more sankara, not like I've got a headache, but I go there. So it's quite hard to experience a really pleasant breath and to direct that. Just because it's like having granite encasement. Sometimes.
Okay, can you focus on another part of your body? Yeah, move your attention down to someplace but that is comfortable. Because, I mean, this is what I was suffering when I first switched over to Ajahn Lee's method. Because I found that every time I focused on my breath, my head just got really tight and tense. And so the idea that I could actually focus here, or focus here, or focus someplace else, focus on the palms of my hands, it was liberating. And when you focus down there, then this energy that's stuck up here begins to drain down.
Initially, there was that, the kind of rapture and very stable mind, very peaceful, but only on retreats, and those occurrences kind of stopped, and then it was years, decades, and like, no, don't crave it, don't want it, it's okay, that's not the purpose. But at the same time, it is the purpose, as you say, and like you are creating, you are shaping what is happening. It's not just like I'm a robot and I'm objective.
Right.
And so it becomes very boring even if you do have that capacity.
Yeah. So you learn how to find what are alternative places to focus, what are alternative ways of conceiving my relationship to my body. This is where you use your ingenuity. I mean, the Ajahn Lee method, but he found his method when he had a heart attack in the forest. He'd walked in 3 days, and soon after arriving, he had a heart attack. And it was a place where there was no medicine, the food was not ideal food for recovering from a heart problem. And all he had to do was work with his breath. Then you notice in his instructions, you start with the breath at the back of the neck. Anyone who's had a heart problem realizes that's tension central in the body when you have a heart problem. So he starts there. But I also realized that if you have other problems, you start other places. So you can try other places to see where can I stay focused. I used to have migraines a lot when I was in Thailand. And so, especially when I had to ride a bus from Bangkok, from Rayong into Bangkok, the carbon monoxide in the bus kind of set me off. And so I would focus on the palms of my hands, soles of my feet, and that would kind of keep the energy from building up in the head. And so one day after I had ridden the bus, and I got to Bangkok and I didn't have a headache, I said, okay. And I had a chore that I had to do. I had to go to a printing press that was down in this alley. And I don't know how many times I'd walked down that alley before. And that day this dog came out, took offense at me and bit me in the foot. And I was focused on my feet at the time. And the dog yelped. It was like an electric shock. and it didn't penetrate. extra good things that can come from focusing on other places. I'm running out of energy, so I think we should call it a night.